And what's up, everybody? We're back with another episode of the Live, Laugh, Left podcast, continuing on with season 4. As we roll on in the 2025 season, we're back with Garry. He is back in the flesh. We've got a lot to go
Yeah,
over.
It was JD Vance, and then I was gone for a fun time, and then now I'm back. So glad to be back.
Garry went to New York.
Actually, Jersey City, get it right.
Yeah, how was that? The armpit of America, as they call it. How was that?
It is. Trust me, if you think the roads of Michigan is terrible, you will not like New Jersey.
I already don't
I
like
mean,
New Jersey.
the roads are okay. There's no potholes. They fixed them, unlike Michigan. But you have to stop and go, and that's annoying.
Garry, when he figures out which stoplights are.
Ha, funny, I don't drive.
That's true. Anyway, we got a lot to talk about this week. Kansas is in the books from Trucks and the Cup. Some crazy stuff that went on there, including one penalization from that race. Surprisingly, no other silly season news, but I did get around to watching the second season of the Full Speed thing that they did. I watched all 5 episodes of that, so I've got some notes that I want to talk about with that. And then, of course, at the end, we will preview this weekend's action at North Wilkesboro. It's All-Star Weekend, so we got a lot of stuff to talk about with that, too. But otherwise, let's just jump into Kansas. I was intending to watch the trucks, and then I didn't. That's my bad. So sucks. But I watched the highlights. Sutton spun early. It was an early spin. Baldwin blew a tire. He hit the wall. Dennison spun in stage 2. So did Frankie Muniz, spinning in stage 3 during green flag pit stops. And then Connor Mozak and Brandon Curry went for a spin. Wasn't really any massive crashes other than some blown tires or a lot of just random spins. For Kansas standards, I would consider it a pretty tame race, but it did have a pretty good finish. Especially in the last lap, it came down between Carson Hocevar and a heavy charging Lane Riggs. And Riggs had a really good shot at the win. He had a huge run on Hocevar. But Hocevar, being Hocevar, decided, I'm going to pull this block and put not just Lane Riggs in the wall, but I'm going to put myself in the wall too. Of course, it didn't affect Carson Hocevar much. They had a large distance upon the rest of the leaders, so it didn't really matter. But and that's how Hocevar was able to pull away and on the last lap and secure the win. Carson Hocevar. Maybe a little controversial how he did it. It was a great last lap, though. There was some good racing for the lead all in general, at least what I could see in the highlights. So that was good. And then the Cup race, I did get a chance to watch the grand majority of it. AJ Allmendinger lost the motor early.
I watched the race.
What?
I watched the entire race.
I watched most of
Well,
it.
sorry, I didn't watch the green flag to about 20 laps into it. But let me tell you, it wasn't that interesting, in my opinion. Because the entire way, the only 2 drivers that were good at that time, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott. The only reason why Chase Elliott finished where he finished, which we will talk about later, is because of one pit stop. One single pit stop. The Jackman let go of it before the back tire changer could fix the lug nut, and, well, that ruined his race. But you know what? I'd rather them fix it and not suspend their crew chief or anybody than that. So, at least that was a thing. But Kyle Larson was a dominator. There was, I think, in the last stage, because there was no cautions, only for either debris or stage ending. And then,
yeah, AJ Allmendinger lost the motor early on, and that was really the only incident until stage 3, when there was just a wild sequence of the saying "cautions breed cautions" came true again in the third stage, when there was a sequence of 4 straight cautions before they could take a full green flag lap, which was pretty insane. It started with Brad Keselowski, who was having a pretty good... Well, also, the only other notable incident before that was William Byron, who was having a really good start to the race, but near the end of the first stage, he blew a tire, hit the wall. There wasn't a caution for it, but he did lose a lap. A lap that he would eventually get back, but he was never the same competitive-wise after that, and had a pretty bad run. A similar thing would happen to Brad Keselowski in the third stage after he was having a great run. He was up front. I think he was running first or second at the time. He blew a tire and wrecked, which, you know, more pain to Keselowski fans, as there has been a lot of that since he joined RFK. Then during that same caution, Denny Hamlin blew his motor, so he was done for the day. And then on the restart, from that caution, Cody Ware, Daniel Suarez, Ty Dillon all wrecked. And then on the restart after that, Kyle Busch went around for a spin. And then after that, Bubba Wallace, Eric Jones, and Justin Haley all wrecked on that. So it was just a crazy, crazy sequence that happened in the race, and it was pretty damn insane. So that was quite interesting. But other than that sequence of 4 cautions plus the Allmendinger caution and then the stage cautions, that was it. Set up some pretty good restarts. It was setting up to be a good day for Carson Hocevar before he lost a tire late in the race and had to pit, which caused him to lose a lot of ground. And like Garry said, it was a dominant, and I mean a dominant day for Kyle Larson. He led, I think, over 250 laps. The only driver that really had any speed for him was Chase Elliott, who, with some good strategy but also some good restart speed, was able to pull away for a little bit. But then again, like Garry said, the pit crew, which has sucked over the last few years, has came back to haunt him again, and he got back in traffic and couldn't catch up, and Larson got the clean air again and pulled off the win. So in dominant fashion, he swept the stages and won for the second time this season. We were really close to picking him in fantasy, but we decided not to because we have only one time to take him left, and I know he's going to be good in a lot of other races later on in the season, so we decided to save him. Though if we had picked him, we would have gotten our second win of the season, which kind of stings, but what are you going to do? Who we did pick was Chris Buescher. Started on the front row, but was mired in the top 10, bottom of the top 10, top 15 for a good majority of the race. Ended up finishing, I think, 7th. So, you know, not a terrible day. We did only get 1 stage point, but I got a top 10, I guess. It's not the greatest, but what are you going to do?
at least that Draco driver won and not a Penske.
True. I'd rather not Kyle Larson win, though.
I'm okay with Kyle Larson.
True.
As long as they're with Hendrick, I don't care.
True.
I'm a Chevy guy and a Hendrick guy.
Speaking of Chris Buescher, by the way, he was the only penalty that came out of this race, though he wasn't disqualified because it just came out recently. They were issued an L1 penalty for incorrect bumper cover adjustments and other adjustments on the car. Big penalty. As a result, fined $75,000. They lost 60 points as well, which is huge. Because they don't have a win yet, and their crew chief fined for 2 races. So their crew chief will miss North Wilkesboro, the All-Star race, as well as the 600. So that is that. I don't know if you have anything else from the race, Gary.
There was a altercation. I don't know who it was to, but I know Chase Elliott walked by, I guess, and said somebody had to do it. So I don't know who it was, but Chase Elliott just came out with a remark while going by him. So that's all I saw on Twitter and stuff like that. I don't know who the 2 drivers were, but
interesting. But anyways, that is Kansas. We'll put it
in the books.
No other silly season news. Just had that penalty that we just went over. But I did get a chance, like I said earlier, to watch the Full Speed documentary season 2, which just still recent released about a little over a week ago now on Netflix. It's a 5-episode documentary. The episodes range from about 40 minutes to 55 minutes. So you can knock it out in an afternoon. Not huge constraints there. But yeah, basically like last season, it highlights the playoffs and the playoff drivers and the races themselves, but also like their lives behind the scenes during the playoffs, like not just, with their team, but like at home with their wives or their families and everything like that. Obviously there were different drivers in the playoffs this year than last year, and there was also a lot of controversy both related to the playoffs and not. So I was very interested to see how they were going to cover all of that and what kind of footage they were going to get. And they did pretty good with it overall, I will say. I do have some notes. The first episode is mainly focused on like introducing some of our what I call main characters. They talk a lot about Joey Logano. They do a few other drivers over, like they do a brief, I guess, highlight of all the drivers technically, though now I know that drivers were not forced to be in this. They could opt into being into this documentary, so some drivers chose not to. But what that does, and if it's a non-NASCAR fan who doesn't like realize a lot of stuff that's going on in the season, if they don't notice that, they're not like, or if they don't know about it prior, they're not going to notice it in the documentary. But I know about it because I watched the sport outside of this as well. And a big plot hole was they did not talk about Martin Truex at all and the fact that he was retiring at the end of the season. And like all the struggles he went through with engine issues and like trying to fight for a championship in his last season. Obviously because he didn't opt to be in the documentary, so they couldn't do a whole lot with him. But that was really sad because they touched on a lot of other big storylines and plot points, but that was the big one that they didn't touch on. And like he was in the playoffs, and that was why it was really annoying that he wasn't featured. There also wasn't a lot of Chase Elliott featured at all. They did a lot less highlighting like the battle to get into the playoffs, probably because Chase Elliott was in it, and that was a big reason why they did that last season, just because he wasn't in it. But they do touch on Darlington, because they do a whole segment about Chase Briscoe and he won Darlington, and so they do a cool segment with that, but they don't do a lot of stuff with like Daytona or anything like that, like they did the previous season, which was pretty noticeable. But I didn't really mind. Um, I also thought overall what they do a lot more stuff with like the in race situations, like a lot more in depth about the races and what's going on there, versus a lot of stuff with the drivers at home lives. They still show a good amount of stuff that like behind the scenes stuff, and what they do show I like. There's a lot of stuff. There's a big Denny Hamlin segment again because he knows he's getting old and trying to fight for a championship before he retires, all that sort of jazz. There's a nice Chase Briscoe segment because his wife gave birth to twins during the playoffs, and so there was all of that. They do a nice segment as well. They do a little segment on William Byron. There's not a big one, but they do some stuff there. Joey Logano gets a lot of screen time, which I wasn't surprised about. So does Ryan Blaney. They both get a good amount of the screen time, which I wasn't surprised at all. I'm trying to think of who else they touch on a lot, and I'm trying to think. Oh, they do a little bit of Tyler Reddick near the end. That was pretty good. A lot of other Hendrick stuff too. They don't really touch on Kyle Larson or Chase Elliott that much. They do a little bit. Oh, Daniel Suarez gets a lot of screen time as well. That was pretty cool. I liked his segments. I don't know what it is about NASCAR drivers getting invited to Atlanta Braves games, but Daniel Suarez, after his Atlanta win last season, was invited to a Braves game to throw out the first pitch. That's 2 drivers now that have been invited to Atlanta Braves games or done stuff with the Braves. What the fuck? There's other stadiums. There's other teams.
So does that mean if Pringleson gets a car to drive and he wins Atlanta, that means he gets to throw the first pitch?
I like to throw out the first pitch at a Tigers game, not a Braves game. I like to go see.
Okay,
a
then you
Braves
have
game.
to get an Indy car and you have to win the Detroit Grand Prix.
I'll just do that with my regular car. How about that?
Just win it, beat every other Indy car, and just win.
Yeah,
It's the first time ever a regular car, has beaten an Indy car.
Trust me, there's some shortcuts you can take when you're not in an open wheel vehicle. So,
Trust me, there are some shortcuts. It's called the fans.
it's called the concession stands. What are some other things that I wrote down here about there's a lot of flashbacks to 2023. There's at least 3 extended flashbacks to the 2023 season, which really pissed me off because I think most of the people that watched this season watched the first season, so it's completely redundant to do those flashbacks, and it really pissed me off because it could tell that they were short, that they were like trying to fill some time and just honed it in there, especially since they covered it again. Like I said, they covered it in the first season. Why are you doing it again?
Now I could see if, like, let's just say, this certain driver didn't make it into the playoffs. So, like, let's show what happened and how close he got and show the ending part of it and how close he could have gotten. Like Kyle Busch. Let's just go with Kyle Busch. Yeah, he didn't make the playoffs last year. But let's just say in this next, like, time where they do it during the end of the season, they show, and if Kyle Busch does make it into the playoffs, let's just say they show the Darlington race and see how close he actually got to making it to now. So, like, do a little snippet, basically, is what I'm saying, of what almost happened versus what did happen.
I guess they could do that. I don't know. The other, like, some of the flashback stuff was cool. Harrison Burton got a pretty extended segment in the second episode, which I did like. I liked all the driver segments that they did. Harrison Burton's was a weird one, but They did it, but they also did a lot of stuff with Jeff Burton during that time because it's his father, and I like seeing the flashbacks to like Jeff Burton's career and all that sort of stuff, and like seeing a little Harrison Burton there, and then like kind of when they're like when they're watching film together and interacting, and like Jeff's giving him tips. Like that was a really cool segment. But then they cut to stuff about Jeff Burton, and he's like, I don't feel bad for him for this whole situation he's in with losing his job at Wood Brothers. You got to go through hard times, hard shit. And two times, I yelled back at the TV, and I was like, "Shut the fuck up, Jeff Burton! You jumped ship from Roush during their fucking prime to go to RCR, and you were ass. You choked away 2 championships in 3 years." You are one of the most overrated drivers in NASCAR history. And you are one of the most annoying commentators of all time. I cannot believe how much did you fucking pay Netflix to get this segment time? What the fuck?
At that point, just put in Ward Burton.
I really don't like Jeff Burton in general. I think, again, he's so overrated as a driver. Everybody's like, oh, he's a legend. He's a Hall of Famer. First ballot, guaranteed. What did he do? Yeah, he won some races. Yeah, he had a couple of competitive years.
He's famous for fighting Jeff Gordon at Texas.
True.
Let me tell you, when I watched that race and I saw Jeff Gordon with the meanest look walking straight towards Jeff Burton, and Jeff Burton put up his hands like he was trying to talk to him, and Jeff Gordon tried to throw a punch. It was just, or no, he pushed him. When he pushed him, I was excited. I was like, get him, get his ass.
I don't like Jeff Burton. I don't like him.
It's okay, not a lot of people do.
I like Harrison Burton though. He seems like a cool guy. So yeah, there's that. But they also do a lot of stuff with the wives again. I gotta say, there's some good looking NASCAR drivers out there. Okay, most of them are not that good looking. Sorry, they're just not. That's okay. They don't need to be good looking. They wear helmets. They're in cars. They don't need to, How are they getting these women? Every driver that they segment are pulling baddies like crazy. I mean, Ryan Blaney's girlfriend is a fucking supermodel. Or fiance, their fiance.
So is Jeff Gordon. Look how tiny he is compared to her.
How? It can't be the money. Well, it can be the money, I guess.
It's the face.
It can be I guess it can be the money.
And it's not how many championships does this person get. Even though Ryan Blaney has 0, he almost had 1 last year, which he should have had, not Joey Logano. And I'm going to keep it to this day that Ryan Blaney is the champion, not Joey Logano. I don't care how many people say that Joey Logano is champion. You could bring me to the Hall of Fame, and you could show me that there's a plaque that says Joey Logano, champion. And I'll say, oh, that's not right. They need to change that.
Ryan Blaney was the defending champion too, so...
Okay, so Ryan Blaney's a 2-time champion.
Garry, you gotta get your facts straight before you do stuff.
2-time champion. Fine. You know what? Fine. Ryan Blaney's the 2-time champion. Back-to-back champs. There we go.
I do like the live segments.
My bad. I don't have a brain yet. Yes, my brain's gone. I haven't figured it out where... It's probably still in New Jersey, to be honest with you.
Yeah, they stole it.
The Statue of Liberty with its little torch has it. I just have to climb all the way to the top.
It's just like the Lion King. Instead of holding up Simba, it's holding up Gary's brain. It's the circle of beam. Look at this stupid fucker's head.
Oh, I'm so glad I'm a part of this group.
Anyway, I did like the wife segments though, because I feel like back in the day, like 2000s whatnot, you saw a lot more stuff about like NASCAR drivers' wives and how like the chemistry between them and how like involved they are in their husbands' careers. You don't really see that a lot nowadays though. But this documentary, the first season was a good, did it really well too, and so did this one. Kind of seeing how like how involved these wives actually are. Some of them come from racing backgrounds of their own, so they can like they'll watch film together, or they'll like be very interactive with kind of everything, or just even from like an emotional perspective. And like the family dynamics as well, which like Chase Briscoe, they talk about like his kids a lot. Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano, they all have kids too, and so it's cool to see all of that. So I was very very interested about all that, which was nice. The last piece that I think was really big, the first episode was focused on like pre-stuff plus Atlanta. Second episode was focused on the rest of the first round. Third episode was focused on the second round. Fourth episode was focused on the third round. Fifth episode was focused on the championship, right? That was kind of the structure that they went. And I thought they did a good job at highlighting all the races. What I would have liked to see more of is they do highlight controversies. Two major controversies that I had some opinions on. The first one was the 2311 lawsuit that broke out right before the Talladega race. They highlighted a lot, especially with like Tyler Reddick making a Final Four run. It's like, oh, they're doing all this, and this team is suing NASCAR. And like they talked about Denny Hamlin, obviously a lot, gets a lot of screen time about it too. And they bring on a lot of other guys that they interview in like these cutaway like dialogue scenes, mainly like Steve Letarte, blanking on the guy's name now, Marty Smith, I think is his name. Mainly those two and a few others as well. And in this segment, as well as the segment where they talk about Alex Bowman's DQ at Martinsville and how, not at Martinsville, not that DQ. No, that was at the Roval. Alex Bowman's DQ at the Roval. Both of those segments, you could 100% tell that NASCAR was heavily funding this docu-series, because they were the most calm, correct, and shallow takes on these incidents as you could possibly be. First, about the 2311 lawsuit. They were super... Everybody that they interviewed about the lawsuit, except for Denny Hamlin, obviously, was super against the lawsuit. They completely demoralized it. They said it was completely unnecessary. It's completely blown out of proportion. But the one that they were definitely more aggressive with was Alex Bowman's DQ. There's a lot of controversy about that disqualification, especially with looking at it now with the fact that it got Joey Logano back into the playoffs and he ultimately went on to win the championship. But they never talk about how Bowman hit a curb because the track was falling apart and a big chunk of his car fell out, and that's probably why the weight was changed. They don't ever talk about anything about that. They don't ever give any perspective to it with Bowman or any of his crew members or anything. They just jump straight to the fact of Steve Letarte saying, You can't fuck up. You can't do that. Without ever taking a look at another side of it. I would have loved in both of these instances to see multiple perspectives on these issues. You see that online all the time. There were people within the sport, outside the sport, whatnot, talking about this and they even had the balls. They even had the balls to put up because the DQ goes between one episode to the next, and at the beginning of the next episode when they're going over it, they have the audacity to put up like clips of like people calling into radio about it, like the public, as well as like put up social media caps of stuff about that, They had the balls to do that and wouldn't show a different side of the story, even though there was hundreds of other accounts of it being a different thing and not just what NASCAR wants it to be. Like, Netflix in general is not the company to do, like, to go out the way to do that. They're a big corporation. They don't like stirring the pot. They like following the money, and NASCAR has the money, apparently. So they did that. But it really pissed me off because either you don't highlight it as much or you go all in. All or nothing, I say. That pissed me off. But anyway, overall, it's a good documentary. Mostly just because it does bring the human aspect back to it. For the drivers, their families, the crew members, all that sort of stuff. So it's pretty cool. I like the looking into the past. Not looking into the past, looking at behind the scenes and kind of like getting different drivers' perspectives. I would have liked to see more drivers' perspectives, especially like Martin Truex, because there was a huge storyline missed there, and also again the differing perspectives on the controversies and the penalties and all that sort of stuff. But what are you gonna do? So when NASCAR is corporately controlling this, you get what you get, and you either throw a fit or you shut up, I guess. So that's all I have to say about it. So
All right.
yeah. Anyway, I don't know if you have any other news, Gary, or not.
Not that I know of. I've really, to be honest with you, haven't been looking at Corgan Oil, but the thing is, I don't need to because I'm hearing it. And what I'm hearing is that there's race cars racing on every Friday. So I'm assuming the season started. So there you go. Season started for Corgan Oil. I'm going to look up now to see what their scheduled times are. Let's see. Corgan Oil. Let's see. Nope, not that. Gotta find the schedule. Jesus. I have to go all the way down.
You'd think Garry would come prepared for this, but no, he doesn't.
I wonder why.
Because he sleeps in.
Yes.
We don't sleep around here.
What's today? The 15th of May? So the next race will be Sunday, May 18th. It will be showdown with figure eights, modified street stocks, forward, I think that's what it's called, forward wheel street stocks, and figure eights. And then May 30th, it's Friday race night. So now the one I want to go to the most, and this is really, really, really bad, and I think all of us should go to this one, me and you, and if she wants to go, is the June 6th Night of Destruction Chapter 1. So here's the real question, though. What's Dragon's Tail?
I don't know.
Okay. But they have Road Rage, forward and reversed flagpole race, burnout contest, school bus figure eights, and trailer figure eights. So, I mean, I would love to. I mean, but at the same time, people have been telling me that I would give that racetrack about 3 years and it'll be gone. Just because of the fact that the owner isn't taking care of that place. So why even have it open? I mean, he doesn't put any money into it. He doesn't have any cars that show up half the time. So what's the point? I mean, if you look at what's that one track? Crystal. Even though it's a dirt track, you see lots of cars going there. I mean, but
I don't know.
Sorry, guys. I have a nose. I have a cold, basically, is what it is. So bear with me. It's that kind of season.
I guess so.
And yet I still went to work yesterday because I went to work.
True. Anyway, nothing else. We got to preview this weekend's action at North Wilkesboro. It's All-Star Weekend, but also the Truck Series is in action for a regular points race. So, should be pretty awesome. Awesome. Oh, I'm going to miss it. Awesome. I'm going to miss both races this weekend. Damn it. Damn it. Damn it, Bobby.
Work?
Yeah. Work. Fresh.
We're not going to tell you where we work. I mean, if you're in the Pringleson Discord, you should know already, but... Okay, continue.
Anyway, so who do we think is going to win the trucks?
Is that an actual question?
Yes.
Corey Heim.
True. Well, he won last week. He usually wins every other week.
Corey Heim.
So, I'm going to
Corey
pick...
Heim.
Corey Heim. I'm going to pick Corey Heim, too.
Okay, Corey Heim. We're both going to be tied in the truck series.
Yup.
Yup. Okay, sorry.
Okay. It's Cup predictions time.
I don't have the things, so we're just going to have to choose. Unless you want me to go get them right now real quick.
Do that.
Okay.
Be prepared.
You literally texted
Go get
me
the
one-
chips!
Okay!
This guy just never comes prepared for anything. I create a whole note sheet on the cell phone of mine. He doesn't even do that. What is he doing? You know? What is he doing? Did you get him?
No, I just walked into my room to get this little guy. Yes, I got the fucking chips.
Okay, here we go.
Tyler, your first pick is... God, grab one. Jesus Christ. Austin Cindric.
Oh boy.
I don't even know if he's in the race. Because don't you have to have a certain requirement to get in the race?
I think he's in. Because he won
Is it
he won Gateway last year, so he should be in. Wait, let me check. Let me check. Yeah, he's in. Okay.
Okay.
If you draw a driver that's not in the All-Star race, we'll let you redraw.
Let's be honest here. If it's one of the Hendrick drivers, we'll be good. So, you one of the head.
True.
But I don't know if he's in it because he didn't win last year.
Yeah, he did. He won the street race. He's in it. He's in it. You're fine.
Oh. Okay. So it's either Penske
Harrison Burton's in the Rick Ware car in it too.
You know, I don't know why they couldn't just have him be in the 21 car just for one day. Since he won last year. Throw it back. I think what they should do is, no matter the occasion, if you win in that car, and it's the All-Star race, and let's say you switch teams, you should be able to race that car when it goes to the All-Star race. It makes more sense. You won in that car, why not try it? But no. NASCAR wants to be a little picky.
Well, he can't race the 21 because Josh Berry's also in the race, and has the 21. Idiot.
Right, but are they counting the win
Yes.
into the points?
Yes, he won this season. Of course, he's gonna be in the All-Star.
I'm talking about after the race. Let's say he was to win the race. If he was in the 21, are they even counting it anyways? Because the All-Star race is in a points race, is what I'm saying.
I don't know what they do.
Okay, then forget what I said. I'm just trying to make sure everything's cool. I wanted everything to be cool and fun. But no, I guess Tyler and him wanted it his way. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm too tired.
You just woke up. How are you too tired?
Listen, I didn't go to bed until 3 a.m. last night.
And whose fault is that?
Not mine.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Anyway.
It's my headache. Oh.
That's going to do it for this episode of the Talking Live, Laugh podcast. Almost fucked up again. Stay tuned for other much more amazing content. Until next time, see you guys later. Bye.